Today I'm gonna be making my first video game using C++ and well, I'm scared. Consider the last C++ project took me about a month. Okay, so for this project I'm gonna be using something called S2D and a bit of OpenGL, OpenL and Friglet. Basically, this framework means that the project won't take me years to complete and also make it so much easier to get going. Okay, so I create a fresh Visual Studio project and got all the necessary libraries imported. Now, when I press this button, a window will open up. And what is cool is that I don't have to program any of that, unlike last time. Okay, so it's now time for the concept of this game, because unfortunately an empty window will not make for a good game. And that is what I'm thinking. We take a popular game like Pac-Man, but we make it goosey, you get the point. Okay, so I start by creating this fellow in the Photoshop, and it's now time to get him to set up in the project. So to represent the player, I created this custom structure, and over time I will add more variables here, but for now all we need to focus on is this texture 2D. This will allow us to display a texture for the player entity, so all we need to do is create a new instance of the player and load in the texture we just create. And well, we have a goose. Ha! I don't know, someone please tell me what to call this. And as a final thing, I create a function that allow us to move the player about using WASD. Okay, so to successfully create the Pac-Man game, there is a few fundamentals we'll need. This includes, but is not limited to, the level, palettes, cherries, ghosts, and then the menu bullshit we need to. Okay, so let's start with the level system. So for this, I could create a wall entity and manually place each wall where I want it, but that's a time consuming and require me to figure out the coordinates for each block. So instead, let's create a level creator as load system that will make just as long, if not longer. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We can make it so we create the level in the notepad file, we then load the file and then create different entities based on what is written in the texture file. That way I can easily change the level when needed. And now in new things just as easily, I'm also think that the texture file should have other entities other than the wall, so things like the player, ghost, pilots, etc. We'll know how many different walls there are, how many different ghosts, players, peel, and so forth. Then in another function, there's a time to create a map, the map. So all we need to do is loop through the different rows and columns that the map has, and then we just grab all these different entities count we just had and create however many entities we need. So now I should be able to create some of and text files and my wars, span the hashtags key and load the project up, and let's take a look. Yeah, there we go. We can see that the level matches the text file, and to be honest, I was actually not expecting it was to work because it is the first time I testing. Okay, so the next up, let's create some palettes, and that seems simple. All we need to do is create another entity and create a score system, make the path have collision with the player by checking if the X and Y coordinate overlaps, increase the score, delete the entity C when the palette is picking it up, run into about 10 different problems, fix this problem, find more problems, and then bam, we are finished. And now it's time to collect palette and increase the score on the side. We can use the system to create the the cherries, to which are basically just giga pellets. Instead of 10 points, they are worth 20 points. I know, they are insane. Oh, it's not actually going to be cherries, because apparently goose eat berries and worms and other things. So I just create a bunch of different sprites and have the sprite to be randomized, so it's a little bit cooler, I guess. Okay, so it's now for the part that I was drinking. The ghost, you see, the ghost means implement AI, and if you look at Pac-Man, the AI is actually pretty smart. All the different ghosts have different AI system, but I'm not going to lie, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to create one simple AI and just use that for all the ghosts, because who cares? It's my project. Before that, I feel like we should figure out what enemy should be. So after some googling, I figured out that the menaces of gas is coyotes, plus a few other things, but coyotes sound cooler. Okay, so it's been about 4 hours and I actually got an AI working that follows the player, and it is not buggy or anything. Here's how it works. I start by creating an entity that goes just like I have for all other things I've created. So then I give the ghost a target position of the where it needs to travel to. In this case, it is simply the player position. Now I could leave this, and it is, but if I did the ghost would move diagonally, so it would simply take the quickest route toward the player. So instead we need to follow the grid, because that the game, and to do this basically we need to check in the ghost X and Y position against the player X and Y and see if it is smaller or larger, and based on that we can directly it and alter the position to make it follow the grid as what looks like. Okay, so we have now make it to the section where we need to create all that I talk about. So I create a new mainly menu that will appear when load the game up, and I also create a game over screen. And talking about the game over, I made it so that cooling with the ghosts as coyotes make you lose. I also end up implement some sounds, but they are actually annoying, so I just mute the game every time I launch. And yeah, waste of time. I also create an animation system for all the entities. All it does, it is take the texture we simply and loops through it. Finally, I also create a Reddit, the collision system, as it was a bit over the place. I shall say it's pretty simple. We just check the player position against the entities, and to do different things such kill the player, collect the entity, or just prevent the player from moving on. Actually, I also implement a simple height score system that the basically finishes the game. Now I could go back and make the UI looks nice, because it is just some plain texture, but I don't want to. I'm going to lie, I don't think it's necessary. Overall, the games turned out to be pretty cool. To be honest, I won't do anything with the game, and I'll probably just leave it hiding in a folder somewhere, but it was fun. So that is the end of the video, guys. If you like, please subscribe, and leave a like and suggest what other language frameworks and things I should do on the channel, because stuff, I guess I will see you on the next video and the next time. So bye.